What's up, you guys? My name is Shauna Jenkins and I am a vegan plant-based wellness coach. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make 4 different types of plant-based milks. So we're going to be making a soy milk, an almond milk, hemp seed milk, and oat milk. These are 4 of the milks that are on the plant-based milks that are on the market. And the reason why I started making my own plant-based milk is because a lot of milks on the market have a lot of sugar, or some of them contains a lot of fillers. And so I wanted to make my milk have less fillers and it be less processed. Also, with making your own milk, you're able to control the sugar level that's in them. And also, you know what's in them. Now, some people think making their own plant-based milk is a long, drawn-out process. It's easy. The only one that takes a long time is soy milk, and I'll show you why that one takes a long time. It's because you have to actually cook this milk. None of the other milks that I have made, I have to cook. Really, you just go through the process of soaking, and then you can easily drain the milk by using cheesecloth. Okay, so a few things that you're going to need is you want to have a sterilized bottle. And so what I did was I sterilized this bottle with hot water. I just used really hot boiling water and I sterilized it and I let it dry. Another thing you're going to need is some purified water. And so for my purified water, what I did was I boiled water and I let it cool, and this is my purified water. So just to clean the water, making sure that we're working with clean, pure water. Now, if you don't want to do this process to cut this down, you can just go buy some purified water out the store. You just want this process to be as clean as possible. Also, with your cheesecloths, you want them to be clean so you can wash them and dry them and let them sit and dry so that you can be able to use them. Also, the prep for these different nut milks, you want to soak them the night before. And so for the soybean, I soaked it and I measured out how much I wanted and I soaked them the night before. The difference between soybeans and a lot of the other nuts and seeds is that the whole process that you have to go through with the soybean. And so what you want to do is you soak each one of these the night before. The only one you do not soak is your oats. This is sprouted, gluten-free rolled oats, and so we did not soak these. If you want to wash them, you can, just to get all of the manufacturing off of it, because you know it did get processed in the manufacturing. And so you can wash them and just let them sit. But for the soybeans, what you want to do is you soak them the night before, so at least 8 hours, and the next day you're gonna peel the piece off of it. And so the soybeans have a protective covering on it, and you just take that piece off, you take it out of the shell, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I saved 2 so that I can show you how to make the how to take the shell off of the soybean. And so the soybean will look like this, and what you'll do is you'll peel the soybean off, the shell off, and it leaves you with this little piece. You take this little piece and that's what you're peeling off, and once you do that, you're ready to go. So you just make sure that is off of the shells. I'm going to do another one. It looks like it doesn't have an extra outer coating on it, but it does, and you just peel it off. Now this process takes a long time, and so soybean milk I don't really like making because of the whole process of what you have to do to make it. But if you don't mind, you can peel it off yourself. There we go. And you're left with the shell, not the outer covering. You also want to have a cloth, and the reason why I have this cloth is because just in case I make a mess, I can have this towel, this clean towel, to catch the milk, because we're going to be pouring the milk into here. You want to have a bunch of cheesecloth, because I'm using different cheesecloths for each one. Now, if you were doing this on your own and you're not filming the video, of course, you don't have to worry about doing different cheesecloths, because you can wash the cheesecloth, let it dry, and make another milk. And you also need some sweeteners or some type of flavor enhancer. So we're going to be using some pure vanilla extracts. And we're going to be using maple syrup also, and some dates as a sweetener, and cinnamon as an enhancement. So cinnamon and maple syrups are going to be like our flavoring, and then the maple syrup and the dates are going to be some types of sweets that you can use. You can also use whatever sweets you like, but these are the ones that I'm going to use. Okay, I did write out my recipes because I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the ones that I use. My almond milk is actually on my blog, ShaunaJenkins.com. I have that one posted. But for that recipe, I did the 3-to-1 ratio. For all of these recipes, I'm doing the 4-to-1 ratio. And what I mean by that is that for the ratio is based on if I do 1 cup of hemp seeds, for example, then the ratio 4-to-1 would be 4 cups of water, okay? But I'm doing a 1/2 cup of almonds that was soaked the night before, and a 1/2 cup of hemp seeds. I soaked these the night before. You don't have to soak hemp seeds. I just soaked them, so you don't actually have to soak them also. And then I'll have a 1/2 cup of oats, and then a cup of soybeans. And these are organic soybeans. I actually had to order these online, so I couldn't find them in the store. So I have a cup of soybeans. So since I have a cup of soybeans, I need 4 cups of water, okay? Since I have a 1/2 cup of almonds, I need 2 cups of water. And since I have a 1/2 cup of hemp seeds, I need 2 cups of water. And then also with oats, I need 2 cups of water. All right, so what we're gonna start with, we're just gonna start with our soybeans. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this into my blender. And I have everything this way so that I won't have to move out of the camera too much so you can see me, and also so I can easily rinse everything out of the sink and start with the next milk. The reason why I wanted to do this milk first is because it takes a little longer and I want it to cool off while I work on the other milks. None of this process takes a long time, as you'll see in the video. All you really have to do is put it in a blender, use a cheesecloth, squeeze it into a jar, boom, seal it, and put it in the refrigerator. It's really, really easy, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a cup. I did not get a measuring cup, and I'm gonna get the lids for these bottles. All right, so now that I have everything, I have my cups, my measuring cup, and then I have my lids that's gonna go in these bottles. Also, these nut milks are good in the refrigerator for 4 to 5 days. I like to stay towards the 4-day window, but if you taste it and it still tastes good on that 5th day, then it's okay, okay? But no longer than 5 days, okay? If you want to preserve it longer, then of course you can put it in a freezer. You can freeze them as like maybe little like ice cubes of milk, and then you can put it in your smoothies, okay? So that'll preserve it a little longer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the soybeans to the blender. Make sure you have super clean hands, okay? Remember, this is a sterile process, okay? And then I'm gonna measure out 4 cups of water. And I just sterilized these not too long ago, so some of them are still warm. What I want you to do is work with cool water as much as possible, okay? So cold, sterile water. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to blend this together. So now that everything is blended well together, now you want to add it into a jar, okay? So you want to take one of these jars and you want to put a cheesecloth on top of it, okay? So you want to drape the cheesecloth on top, and you can do this by yourself. I promise you don't need someone else to help you drape this across. The thing about cheesecloth is that it gets these little. I was cutting cheesecloth earlier too, and yeah, I tore it in the middle. Alright, so what I like about this blender is it has this little pouch, and what I can do is I can just pour out of that pouch, and I'm going to pour it into here, and this is going to filter out all the chunky parts that we don't need for the milk, okay? So the pulp that we're not going to use. So in this point, you want to start probably squeezing it. As you can see, it's not going anywhere, so squeeze it. To get it all out the bag so we can make room for more. Now you can use your pulp for other things. I'm going to throw all the pulp away. And I know that sounds wasteful. But I'm sorry. I'm going to throw it all away though, okay? And I'm going to drain this one twice actually, because what I'm going to do is I have to cook this one. So I'm actually going to drain it twice. So I'm just going through the process of pouring this in here. Alright. So everything is in here. And see why I said have a towel under you? Because you're going to make a mess. And that leaves less of a mess you have to deal with on your counter by just doing it like this. Alright, so I poured everything in here. Now I'm going to add this to this pan and I'm going to cook it, okay? Remember I told you the soybean milk, you have to cook it. So we're going to cook this milk. And so what I'm going to do is allow this to cook while we work on the other milks. And I have a little burner back here. I'm going to turn it on medium heat and let it cook, okay? I'm going to cook it on medium and I have a spoon beside it. And so now I'm going to get rid of this and I'm going to start with the next milk, okay? Alright, so now that I have that cooking and I got my area cleaned up, we're going to start on the next milk. And so the next milk that we're going to be doing is almond milk, okay? We're going to use this jar to drain it in. And this is just a half a cup of almonds. And remember I said we're going to be doing the 4-to-1 ratio. And so since it's a half a cup, we're going to be using 4 cups of purified, clean, cold water. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add everything to this blender again and pour it all in. And I'm going to measure out my water. So there's a little bit of water left from that one, so I'll use that one so we can use all the water. I gotta use this one. I'm trying to use the coldest water first. 1 and 2. Alright, so at this process, some people, they might not add their sweetener in. Some people just mix it up. I just add all my sweetener in at once. So I know that I already want to add in a date. If I want it super sweet, then I add in 2 dates. So I think I'm just going to add in 2 dates in this. And then I might want to add a little bit of cinnamon. You don't have to add cinnamon. You can do nutmeg if you don't have cinnamon. And I'm just going to add a little bit of cinnamon. All I did was sprinkle some cinnamon. You don't have to measure it out because I'm just doing a sprinkle or a dash of cinnamon inside. And that's all I'm going to do for this. And I'm going to put it in the blender. Also feel free to add a pinch of salt. I did not get the salt out, so it's okay. If you want to add some salt, you can add a pinch of salt into this. For the soy milk, you might want to add a little bit more, maybe 2 pinches of salt, since it's double this recipe. So now I'm going to blend it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to this mason jar. Again, we're going to do the same process. We're going to add a cheesecloth on top. And the almond milk has a lot of pulp, so you're going to see that. With this one, it's going to have a lot of pulp, okay? It's because of the shell that's on the almonds makes it add more pulp, makes it have more pulp because of that. So just remember, the softer the nut, it's going to have less pulp, okay? That's why the soybeans had a lot of pulp. Oh, this smells so good. Oh my God. I smell the dates. I smell the almonds and the cinnamon together. It smells so good. And as you can see, you're going to have more of the almonds versus when you buy it out the store, it's more water than nut. So the ratio of nut to water is more when you make it yourself. And it makes it have more protein because of that. Because when you see the nut milks and the plant milks in the store, you'll see it say like 1 gram of protein or something really low. Ooh, yeah, ooh. I turned up my, sorry. So I'm cooking my soy milk. And as you can see, it started cooking really good. So, yeah. Disregard all of that. That'll be my little blooper for this video. Also, do not multitask like me, making various nut milks at the same time. But you want to get that soy milk to a boil, so that's what it's doing. And then I bring it down. So, it's okay, I promise. Don't worry about the smoke. Alright, so I poured all my almond milk in here. Now, if you want to have more almond milk than that, of course, you want to soak more nuts. All I did was soak a cup of almonds because this is a lot of nut milk for me. And so I didn't want to make too much because I didn't want any of it to go bad. So I wanted to make a small recipe of each one of these so that I could show you how to make it. Normally I will make about 2 of these jars, and I make milk like twice a week. So if you want 2 of these jars, then you're looking at about 2 cups, I'll say. Yeah, 2 cups of almonds. Maybe, yeah, 2 cups of almonds, yeah. Because 1 cup would be enough for 1 jar. 2 cups of almond milk. Remember, and you can filter this multiple times. You can go through with the cheesecloth, do it again, just to make sure you don't have any pulp. But that's what you have. And then you just put a lid on it, put the date. And I use like a dry erase marker so that I don't have to worry about putting a permanent marker on and having to scrub to get it off. So I just use a dry erase marker. And that's your almond milk. So we're going to let that sit right there for a little bit while we finish the other milks. I'm going to clean up again, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to make the hemp seed milk, okay? Alright, so now we're going to check on the soy milk. The soy milk has been cooking for a while. What I allow it to do is I allow it to come up to a boil, and then I brought it down and let it simmer. You'll see a little film on top of it. That's fine. You want to cook it for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and then you're going to allow it to be poured through the cheesecloth like we did before, and then we could put it in the refrigerator and it's ready to go. I do say wait till it cool off before you put it into the refrigerator, okay? So if you have time, just let it sit and let it cool for about an hour, and then you can put it in the refrigerator, okay? So now that it's finished, I'm going to pour it through this cheesecloth sleeve again into this jar, and we're gonna have our soy milk. What you can do at this time is add in your sweeteners, any type of sweeteners you want to do. I'm going to do a liquid sweetener for this because with the dates, I have to pour it back into a blender. With it being so hot, I wouldn't recommend it. Now when you cool it down, and if you want to do date as a sweetener, make sure that it's cooled down, because when you add it to the blender, that's going to create some heat, and you don't want the blender to start popping up. Because if you create a lot of pressure from all the heat from the water, you're going to feel your blender like try to pop up. So just my experience, that's what happens. So I don't put anything super, super hot in the blender. So turning this off, I'm going to pour this into this sleeve. It smells so clean because it doesn't have anything in it. It's just soybeans. All right, so now what I want to do is add in, see that how much pulp because it's cooked down. So now right now, that's your soy milk with nothing in it. Now you can drink all of this stuff without adding any type of sweetener, any type of flavor enhancers. This is just something I'm doing for myself, okay? So what I want to do is add in some vanilla extracts. So about a half a teaspoon of vanilla extracts. One. Because I wanted to, I'm flavoring all of mine different because, you know, I want to give it something different every time I go to the refrigerator and choose a different milk as a different flavor. That's just me. So you want to make sure you try to choose the purest source of vanilla extracts as much as possible. Then we're going to add in some maple syrup. I'm going to do about 4 teaspoons of maple syrup. All right. Okay, so now we have our soy milk. And right now I'm not going to put a lid on it because it is hot, okay? So I'm going to let that cool along with my almond milk, okay? Now, our next milk. I know you're excited. I'm going to make hemp milk. And we're going to do a half a cup of hemp milk. What I did, of course, was soak my hemps the night before, and I soaked them for about 8 hours. So all of my nuts were soaked the same amount of time, okay? In my soybean. So I'm just gonna put this in here, and because I want all of the shells that are left, the little residue, because when you soak hemp, it starts to stick to whatever once you add the water. So you need 2 cups of water. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour this into this bowl so that I can get all of my hemp seeds, because I measured out exactly a half a cup, so I want to make sure that I get all of my hemp seeds for this recipe. So once I do that, it'll probably get all the hemp seeds that are left in that bowl. See, now it's empty. All right, so 1 cup, 2 cups, because we're doing the 4-to-1 ratio. And then for my hemp, again, I'm going to do 2 dates. And I'm not doing medjool dates, I'm just doing regular size dates. The medjool dates, if you have those, then you want to do just 1 because they're really big, okay? All right. So now I'm going to add this to the blender. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab a jar, a wide mouth. You want to get a wide mouth jar because, as you can see, the smaller ones are kind of hard for you to use, at least for me, so I get the wide mouth, okay? And you need another cheesecloth. So we're going to add a cheesecloth. I did a different cheesecloth for each one. Some of my cheesecloths, as you can see, is big, but it's okay. Long as it's big enough to fit this, it doesn't matter what size, as long as you can work with it. So I just drape it across the jar again. And as you can see, this process is the same for everyone that you make. It's just what changes is the way you flavor it. What I like about hemp seeds is that they do contain a lot of nutrients too. Each one of these milks has their own version of the amount of nutrients that it contains, as far as like different minerals, different vitamins. With your hemp seed, you're going to be getting your omegas. So if you have this as one of your milks, maybe you can have it in a different recipe for the day, and then maybe use a different milk in another recipe so that you can get the benefits from each one of them. just letting this drain a little bit. We only got one more milk to make. Yay! So now I'm just going to squeeze it just like I did the other ones. Oh! Oops. See why I have this towel right here for oopsies like that. As you see, I squeezed it too hard. So be gentle with it. Do not be tough and rough. All right, look at that. And there's probably more in here. It's just the more you squeeze, the more it comes out. You just got to be mindful of the hemp seed milk. It is smaller seeds, and so it gets everywhere compared to other milks. So that's your hemp seed milk. What I'm going to do with the hemp seed milk is I'm actually going to drain it and go through another one with it. And the reason is because some of it got into another jar. So I did not want to use that one, okay? That's the only reason why I'm doing this again. So some of the seeds, when I squirted earlier, it got into that jar. And so I don't want to have that in my milk. So now what I'm just going to do is pour it into another jar and filter that out. And you can do this with any of the milks just to make sure you get all of the pulp out of it, okay? And that's really all what I did. Let's make sure I got all the pulp out. All right. Now I'm okay with that. That's my hemp seed milk, and I'm gonna put a lid on it and start on the next one. So I'm gonna clean up everything again, and then we're gonna get started on our last milk, and I'm gonna wrap up this video and share with you any other tips that you need to keep you on this journey of your plant-based vegan lifestyle. So let me clean up and then I'll be right back, okay? All right, so now we're gonna make our oat milk. Our oat milk is gonna have 1/2 cup of oats. What you want to do is you want to rinse your oats, and then you can put them back into the jar. But you don't have to soak your oats. So 1/2 cup of sprouted, gluten-free rolled oats, okay? So that's what I'm gonna be using. And you're gonna need a jar again. You're gonna need 2 cups of purified water and a blender, okay? So we're gonna be using dates to sweeten this. I decided to do dates again because I love dates and I love the flavor that dates give things. And so I'm gonna add my oats, and just to get any residue of the oats, I'm gonna pour it in here once I measure out my 2 cups of water. So any kind of residue that's left over, I want all of it in my recipe, okay? All right, so 1 cup, 2 cups. And we're gonna follow the same process like we did with the other ones. If we're gonna sweeten it, we're gonna add it here. So I'm gonna add 2 dates. I'm also gonna add some vanilla extracts. I'm looking for my little thing. So I'm gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extracts. And they might be a little bit too much, but it's okay. The damage is already done. So this is gonna be very vanilla flavor. And then I'll add me some cinnamon to this one because I think oats go really good with cinnamon. Now at this point, you don't have to add the vanilla extracts. You don't have to add the cinnamon. You can just add a sweetener. Sometimes I just do dates and a pinch of salt. And you can do a pinch of salt in each of the ones that are 2 cups. For a 4 cup, you want to do 2 pinches of salt. And what salt does, it activates the flavor and it brings everything out. So it brings the flavor out into your recipes. And so salt is not bad. I use Himalayan salt, but you can use sea salt also. But the salt actually helps bring the flavor out in the recipes. And so what I will advise you to do is do a pinch of salt in each one of these. And then 2 pinches of salt in your soybean, okay? So now we're gonna add this to the blender. All right, so now we're gonna add this to this jar, okay? Again, you need a cheesecloth. You make sure your cheesecloth is clean, again. And we're gonna do the same process, pour it in here. And what you're looking for whenever you blending up any of these plant milks, you want the plant milk to be blended out where the pieces are really, really tiny so that they're small little particles, and then you can stop it, okay? You're not looking for it to be super smooth because it's gonna have some stuff in there. It's gonna have some pulp, and that's what the cheesecloth is for. The cheesecloth is good to help filter it out. If you want it to look super, super like more filtered out than these, then you can filter it 2 to 3 times, okay? Just ensure that you have no pulp in there. Oats are gonna have more pulp, okay? I have a hard time. It has a hard time getting through this cheesecloth, so I had to stop it a lot sooner than the other milks. And you'll learn each milk is gonna have like it's gonna be easier to do the cheesecloth, and some you might have to help it. And it has lesser pulp. I mean, it has less pulp than the other ones, but for some reason it has trouble getting through the cheesecloth. I think because maybe the grains are a little thicker. I don't know what's causing it because it doesn't have a lot of pulp. I think because oatmeal is such, you know how oatmeal is, it gets very mushy. So it starts to stick. So I think that's what's causing the issue of it coming through the cheesecloth like it needs to. It's starting to stick to each other. So you have to encourage it to go through. And it does smell good, by the way, if you're wondering. It smells like oatmeal, like cinnamon oatmeal with maple syrup, even though I didn't use maple syrup, but it has a sweetness, you know, the smell from the dates. Okay. All right, so now there's my oat milk. And like the hemp milk, I'm gonna double filter the oat milk just because I think it was having some trouble getting through the cheesecloth, and so I'm going to double filter that one. I'm going to use another cheesecloth and go through it again, okay? Just because I want to make sure this one is good. I don't really like how it still has some residue. So this one I double filtered again. So there was some more residue in there. Eventually I'm gonna buy me this thing. It's called the I think it's called the Almond Cow or something like that. Anyway, it makes the nut milk for you. So there you go. All right, so I'm gonna clean up and I'm gonna come right back. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put a lid on this because it's good to go. So we have our soy milk, almond milk, hemp milk, and oat milk. Now I'm gonna clean up everything, and then I'm gonna share with you tips on flavoring. I'm also gonna share with you what you need to do to store this, and just gonna wrap up the video, okay? So let me clean up, and then I'll share with you the rest of what I want to give you as far as informational plant meals and any other things, okay? So let me clean up and I'll be right back. All right, you guys, so now that I'm cleaned up, we're going to talk about these different milks. Each milk has their own distinct taste: soy milk, almond milk, hemp seed milk, and oat milk. Now what I would advise you to do is to make each recipe, play around with them, blend it up, add some more dates, take away some dates, add some salt, add different flavors. You can add some cacao powder to make it more chocolatey. You can add different things. You can add matcha powder to make you some matcha milk. The beauty of this is that you know what is in these milks. You know every ingredient. You know there's no fillers. You can control the amount of sugar that's in each milk. Each milk, like I said, has their unique taste. I'm still in love with almond milk, and I'm in love with this recipe because I decided to make it differently for you guys. So that's my favorite. I want you to make each one, and then I want you to come back to this video and comment and tell me which one is your favorite, and let me know if you try these recipes, which ones you didn't like. If you added something that I didn't add, give me some tips, because remember, we can learn from each other. I created this channel to share with you cooking videos. So each cooking video, a new video will be posted every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So every Monday, tune in for a new plant-based vegan cooking plant-based vegan recipe. And so there might be times where I share some raw recipes, and there might be times where I just share some plant-based recipes. Everything on this channel will be all vegan. I'll also be doing some reviews on different things, like if it's a vegan product that I'm using, I'll be doing that. And I'll also be sharing a little bit about myself. Maybe I might share with you some of my workouts. I might share with you my family, different things. And so just stay tuned. If you enjoy this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, you can send me a donation to my Cash App. It's Shonda Danae Jenkins, and I'll be putting it right somewhere below so that you can see how to support my channel. Support it by sharing. You can support it by donating, so I can continue to make these different recipes, because I believe that education should be free, and if you don't know something, that you shouldn't have to pay for it. And so I'm trying to offer as much free content so that you can start your vegan plant-based journey, and that you don't have to go out and pay for some type of course to learn you how to do the plant-based lifestyle. Also, feel free to check out my blog, shondajenkins.com. I share a new recipe on there every Monday in my newsletter. So whenever you sign up on my blog, you're giving Pinterest staples, you're giving a bunch of recipes, like 50+ recipes, and you're given a guide to help you adopt the vegan plant-based lifestyle. Also, I have a Facebook group, and I'll be putting down below, but it's plant-based vegan recipes, and in there you'll be able to see different recipes. You'll be able to engage, you'll be able to share, you'll be able to ask questions. And so if you are excited and ready to start your vegan plant-based journey, then check out all these free resources so that you can get started and have the tools that you need to support you on this journey. All right, I love you guys, and have an amazing day. Bye.